How, in your business, you're the CEO of a public relations agency, how does the media techniques which you use, how can you use them to influence the strategy of businesses in your field?
Thank you very much. I think it's very important for us to understand the concept of marketing. Essentially, what you're doing is you are requesting for the attention of a particular audience, and you're paying to get the attention of the particular audience on your product and service. So through social media, you're able to reach the consumer directly, as opposed to going through an advertising medium. But it's very tricky because the first day you go onto social media, you don't have any followers. So you need to learn how to market yourself on social media and essentially integrate the various medias in order for you to push your product or service. Now, in South Africa, what we did is we started an initiative to promote reading books for leisure. Now, if you read the UK Telegraph in 2013, there was a research that came out which indicated that reading books for leisure is the single most important indicator of a teenager's future success. So if you want a teenager to succeed, get them to read books for leisure. So we started Read a Book Essay on the 24th of April 2012, and it was based on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And we managed to rally 30,000 young people to send us the books that they're reading for leisure, and essentially also influence their followers to read books for leisure. Now that's a lot of impact that we made with only $100 a month. So it's very important for you to understand both the financial implications, which it's very cheap, and also the impact that you're able to make on social media. Now, you must know that if you are not on social media, your competition is definitely on social media. There are over 2 billion social media users across the world. So you're essentially missing out on a big market of millions within your own country. And as we've spoken about earlier, social media breaks boundaries, and online communication is borderless. So it's highly important for us to understand that if you are to build a business in the 21st century, you need to understand the importance of having a social media account. Now, I read an article recently which illustrated that in the United States of America, there are more YouTube subscribers than there are of cable television networks. And also, if you believe that social media is only for the youth, you are mistaken. Because in the same country, the greatest growth that they're seeing in social media is above the age of 50. It increased by over 70% recently. So you're looking at a broad audience across the spectrum, all ages, who are on social media, but you need to understand the various mediums and how to channel your communication.
How do you solve that chicken and egg problem you mentioned? I mean, you want to use media to get your message out so you can expand revenues or get traction for your idea, but you don't have any followers. So how can you start the whole the cycle?
Well, the beauty about social media is that you can get followers by tagging people. Now, for example, if you look at Twitter, you don't have to be followed by somebody to send them a message. So when we started Read a Book Essay, we started with 0 followers. But essentially, we sent messages requesting for people to check out our account. Now, the easy way to do it, and I think I'd recommend this, is for you to get ambassadors who can conscientize their followers about your initiative or about your company or about your organization. From there, you'll be able to build a following, and then essentially you'll have an audience. Again, you need to be able to understand that social media is not just about selling your products or service. That's very boring. If you think you're just going to post your products and service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without any interaction, you're going to lose a lot of clout on social media, and essentially, you'll be wasting your time. So for an example, if you're running a financial institution like a bank, it's important for you to understand that there's content that is relevant for your audience besides your banking services that you need to integrate into your marketing and sales strategy. So for a bank, I would want to know ways to save or the best investment solutions if you're only earning a certain amount of money. Or if you're running an insurance company, how to get the most rewards with the insurance that you're using. So essentially you're creating content, like Forbes magazine creates content for entrepreneurs. So they'll have an article about how do you attract and recruit the best staff members to take your business to the next level. And essentially that is the kind of content that you're looking to push with your products and your services.
I got two specific questions, one of which is the ambassadors. Do you pay these ambassadors? Do you give them free products, or are you nice to them and they become your ambassadors? And the second question is, are you saying that it's not enough to sell your project, but you have to or your product, you have to kind of go into the entertainment business as well and make your product entertaining as well?
That's essentially, you hit the nail on the head. Now, in terms of your first message, do you pay the ambassadors? Depending on the organization and the nature of your organization, you may or may not pay the ambassadors. If it's for profit and it's not an NGO, it's very difficult for you to get an ambassador to do it for free. So you will have to pay for the service. You can enlist the services of a celebrity or the services of a specialist with a high following in your particular area of expertise. You can enlist the services of perhaps even my company, because we've got over 45,000 followers on social media, to use our following to promote your product or your services. So essentially, I think you will end up having to pay for the service of getting more followers. But you must be very careful. Don't just go for the followers. Go for the followers that you are trying to target.
But you then have to be careful, because if you start, you might lose your own followers if you start propagating stuff which they don't like. So it's tricky.
That's very true. So if I'm, for an example, tweeting from Read a Book SA, which is on Twitter, @ReadABookSA, and I start to promote an insurance company, they will see that this is just a money-making initiative. So you need to be also careful to promote material which is relevant for your particular business.
Thank you very much. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
We'll get to your other points later, perhaps. Thank you very much. This goes right on to what I want to ask Evans. Evans, you yourself are an entrepreneur in several areas. You've been in a business designing renewable energy products.